Good morning. I'm connecting with you all again after a long time. So, today I would like to discuss with you on the topic of emulsifiers and emulsion stability. This is part 130 of my YouTube video. It's a case study. Okay, I have taken a particular emulsion and I have discussed very briefly. I have not gone into the depth of other findings, but very briefly for you to understand how the emulsion stability and emulsifiers, how they can interplay. This can be for this particular emulsion, okay, and the emulsifiers use the type of emulsion, but it can be a different observation for different emulsions and different emulsion types, but this observation can be used very carefully for your product development work, in product development and selecting the emulsifiers, product development work. This will be very important where your product is going to be launched, what is going to be the ambient temperature in that country, right? So these are all very important aspect. One simple emulsion can give us some clue on all these aspects. That is what I'm going to share. I'm going to do it very briefly. I'm not going into the depth of the study that has been done, but very briefly the observations, right? If you want to know any further details on this, whatever I have, you can contact me. I will share it with you, right? So, what is an emulsion, right? What is an emulsion? This we have discussed. Emulsion is a biphasic system containing two immiscible liquids. It has two immiscible liquids in which one is finely dispersed in the other, stabilized by emulsifying agents. Simple definition of an emulsion, right? I have discussed emulsions in detail, in part 38 of my YouTube video. I have discussed type of emulsions, 39 emulsifying agents, part 40 concept of hydrophilic lipophilic balance, then 41 theories of emulsification, stability of emulsions, all these things I've discussed the emulsions in detail. So if you want to know more about emulsions and emulsion systems, you have to go to this part of my videos, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, right? So that you will get an idea of the emulsions and stability and all those aspects, right? Now, what I'm going to do in this thing is I'm taking a particular emulsion. Okay, so emulsifying wax, you would have heard about emulsifying wax. I'm taking this simple thing, emulsifying wax, BP is there. So basically emulsifying wax has cetostearyl alcohol, sodium lauryl sulfate and purified water. So this emulsifying wax is very typical, right, with fatty alcohol surfactants. I would have explained in the theories of emulsions. What fatty alcohols and surfactants do is in an cetostearyl alcohol is a combination of cetyl alcohol and stearyl alcohol. Okay, that is cetostearyl alcohol, and sodium lauryl sulfate is the high HLB emulsifier used in this. So emulsifying wax at a concentration of 10%, 5%, 10% is used in the formula, right? For the emulsification. It's called the emulsifying wax. So, sodium lauryl sulfate is the surfactant here. Cetostearyl alcohol is the fatty alcohol here. Now, what happens now in this fatty alcohol and surfactant forms gel phase, and excess fatty alcohol precipitate out to form gel networks. So, a combination of gel phase and gel networks. I have explained in my theories of emulsification, Eccleston, a scientist, has explained this gel phase and gel networks very nicely, and this is specific to the fatty alcohol surfactant systems, right? So fatty alcohol with emulsifier forms the gel phase, and the excess fatty alcohol precipitates to form gel networks. The gel phase can imbibe water into it, right? Now, what I'm doing is, I'm trying to make some emulsions, right? Emulsion, and vary the surfactants and see what is happening to the emulsion. Very simple formula. So I'm taking a simple emulsion, right? Simple emulsion containing cetyl alcohol, a fatty alcohol at 5%, oil phase light mineral oil 10%, water phase propylene glycol 5%, sodium lauryl sulfate as a surfactant varied, deionized water to 100, right? So in my study, I have varied percentage of sodium lauryl sulfate 0.1, 0.5, 1.5, 2.5, 3 and 4%. So I made different formula with various percentage of sodium lauryl sulfate, but fatty alcohol level remains constant, right? Fatty alcohol and the oil phase, liquid paraffin, propylene glycol, those levels are constant. The only variable is the surfactant, sodium lauryl sulfate, to 0.1, 0.5, 1.5, 2.5, 3 and 4. These are the experimental formulations, right? What happened, no? So products were made, and these formulations were subjected to stability studies, okay, at lower temperature, at 40 degrees and at 48 degrees. So 3 temperature stability study were conducted using this formula. See, what we found is this thing. So storage at 25 degrees, storage at 40 degrees, storage at 48 degrees. Okay, so compared to Indian conditions, no, 25 is little on the cooler side. I have not gone into the fridge temperature, but storage at 25, storage at 40 and storage at 48 degrees. So these 3 temperatures we have done. Okay, now how the stability of the emulsion varied under these storage conditions, okay, that we will see, right? 0.1% sodium lauryl sulfate, right? Storage at 25 degrees, separation after 21 days. Storage at 40 degrees, separation after 14 degrees. Storage at 48 degrees, separation within a day, right? Now, at 0.1% sodium lauryl sulfate, at 25 degrees, separation was only after 21 days. But at 40 degrees, 14 days, and at 48 degrees, it separated within a day. Here, it follows the typical thing of when the storage temperature is high, the separation is faster, right? This is very typical. Second, 0.5%. What happens? At 25 degrees, it was separation could be observed only after 50 days. Okay, but at 40 degrees, it was stable. Okay, the period of study was for 70 days. The period of study was 70 days. Okay, at 25 degrees, 50 days it separated. At 40 degrees, it was stable for 70 days. But at 45 degrees, what happened? It started creaming after 3 days. See, separation is, you can see a distinct water layer and oil layer, or the water layer separating out. That is what is separation. But creaming is, you see a more denser layer and a less denser layer. It's not a clear water separation. So what happens? Creaming appears after 3 days itself, right? So in this, at 40 degrees, it is stable for 70 days. At 25 degrees, it's separated after 50 days. So at 48 degrees, it's separated after 3 days. So this, what is the lesson? If you do a storage stability at 40 degrees and say that my emulsion is stable, it is not so. Even an increase of 8 degrees, it separates, it creams, and at 25 degrees itself, it's a clear separation after 50 days. Okay, this is with 0.5% sodium lauryl sulfate. Next is 1.5%. 1.5% sodium lauryl sulfate. What happens? At 25 degrees, it is stable. At 40 degrees also, it is stable. At 48 degrees, it is separation, creaming after 14 days. Creaming after 14 days. So it shows signs of instability after 14 days at 48 degrees. So what I found is, I characterized the emulsions using the advanced rheological parameter measuring the viscoelasticity. So viscoelastic parameters, right? Viscous flow and the elastic flow of the emulsion. What I found is, at 1.5% sodium lauryl sulfate, both the viscous flow and elastic flow was maximum, right? They were balanced and they were maximum. When this is viscous and elastic flow balanced, the stability seems to stability over a wide range of pH. Okay, let us not go into that depth of study now, but understand that by just variation, 0.1 separation after 14 days, 0.5 stable at 40, but at 25 and 48, there is separation and stage of separation. At 1.5, lower temperature it is stable, 40 degrees it's stable, but at 48 degrees, creaming after 14 days. Right? This emulsion can be stabilized further. I made these prototypes so that with great difficulty, I want it to have a stability problem at a particular temperature. Otherwise, I can't demonstrate to you how these can be different. Okay? Creaming after 14 days, this 1.5% emulsion can be made much more stable by altering the fatty alcohol and surfactant ratio, and that can be at 48 degrees also, it can be made stable. That is another aspect, but here I want to demonstrate to you, right? We will go to 2.25. 2.25 stable creaming after 3 days. See what is happening. At 1.5, creaming was observed only after 14 days at 48. But when you increased it to 2.25, creaming started after 3 days. So what happens now? If you don't alter anything and if you increase the emulsifier alone, what is happening? At 25 and 40 it's stable, but at 48 it is unstable. So you make a product for African country, right? It will come separate, and you do it in Europe and found that the product is stable at 25 and 40 degrees, right? It is stable for months together, but you export it to Africa, it will be separated because in summer there, this actually happened in a mosquito repellent cream that was made in Africa, made for Africa. That mosquito repellent cream made for African market, no? Whatever mosquito repellent cream were stable, particular batch of thing, no, it got separated during summer. And we were wondering why this got separated. All the time it used to be stable. Suddenly this summer we see a lot of separation. And what we found is emulsifying wax BP we were using anionic containing cetostatiol alcohol and sodium lauryl sulfate. And the specification is minimum 10% sodium lauryl sulfate, right? So, in that particular batch, the sodium lauryl sulfate used to be 10 to 11, no? All the batches. But in that particular batch, the sodium lauryl sulfate was well above 16% in emulsifying wax itself. What happens now? When the sodium lauryl sulfate content increases there, what happens? The emulsion stability at a higher temperature is dropping. When other things remain constant, emulsifier increase in this set of emulsion. It might not be true with other emulsifiers. We have to work it out. This set of emulsion, increasing HLB using sodium lauryl sulfate to 2.25, the emulsion which was stable for 14 days started creaming after 3 days, right? So we have to talk to the supplier, and they said that more the emulsifier, more is the stability, how it can separate. So when this study is shown to them, it's a learning for them also. Okay, then at 3%, what happens? At 3% sodium lauryl sulfate, it was stable at 25 degrees for even 70 days, stable and creaming within a day. What happens? See, what happens when you increase the emulsifier, the stability at higher temperature decreases, right? Then with 4%, see what happens? Another observation, when you increase the emulsifier, low temperature stability improves, right? See, with 0.1 21 days at 25 degrees, 0.5 50 days, from 1.5 stable. So here 4% separation within a day. It's not even creaming. Within 1 day storage at 48 degrees, the emulsion separated. Okay, so what are the observations here? What are the observations? Increase in emulsifier here in this emulsion, sodium lauryl sulfate, improves the low temperature stability, but the high temperature stability drops, right? So high temperature stability drops by increasing the emulsifier, but the low temperature stability improves. And there can be an optimum level of emulsifier that can make the emulsion stable over a wide range of temperature, storage temperature. You understand? I think this is clear. So what is the observation? Increasing the emulsifier level in this particular emulsion, in this particular case, improves the low temperature stability but decreases the high temperature stability, right? So you have to be very, very careful. If your product is not stable at 48 degrees, it doesn't mean you have to increase the emulsifier to make it more stable. It will separate faster, most probably. So you have to improve the gel phase, gel networks, or work on other attributes of the emulsion, not only the emulsifier, right? This is a very, very clear case on what is happening, right? You understood? Again, I am telling you, it is increasing the emulsifier. In this, it observes that low temperature stability is good, but high temperature stability decreases. At 0.1%, separation within a day and 4% also separation within a day. But 0.1% low temperature is poor, at 4% low temperature stability is good. And median temperature stability 40 degrees is also good. But at 48 degrees, the emulsion which was stable for 14 days at 1.5% level showed decrease in stability when it is increased to 2.25, 3, 4. So the theory for this particular emulsion, no, not applicable for others. I told you, fatty alcohol and surfactants form the gel phase and gel networks. Okay. And probably at an optimal emulsifier concentration, the gel phase, precipitation of excess cetyl alcohol forming the gel phase, the gel phase formed between the surfactants and fatty alcohol and gel networks by excess fatty alcohol, that ratio is very, very critical for the stability, the stability of the emulsion, right? So this is very, very important. Other factors also I have observed here, there is a decrease in viscosity of the emulsion. So all those things are other aspects which I don't want to confuse with you now. But here I want to take you to the point that just an increase in emulsifier level is not going to increase the stability, especially at higher temperature. It's a case. It can be, you have to work out for your emulsion. So here the explanation can be the fatty alcohols and surfactant ratio is very, very important to form the gel phase and gel networks in the system for stability over a wide range of storage temperature. So this is the observation. I took some time to explain this to you. I thought it will be useful. See, this is a pictorial representation where you can see 48 degrees at various temperature, right? See here, it's a separation. It's also separation. See here, 48 degrees at 4% SLS, very clear separation. You can see very clear separation, but at 1.5 you don't see separation at all, right? See creaming, right? At 1.5 you see creaming only, no separation. But at 48, at 2.25 also you see, but here creaming is more. You can see less dense and more dense. No, here 4% it's a clear separation. So this is one of the pictorial representation of the observation. So conclusion from this particular case study, a higher emulsifier level does not ensure emulsion stability, right, over a wide range of storage temperature, right? A stable emulsion at a particular storage temperature can become unstable with a slight variation of storage temperature. So you can't do stability at 40 degrees and say that my emulsion is stable at 40 degrees. So say that my emulsion is stable. No, a slight variation in temperature can affect your stability drastically. Elevated storage temperature stability does not ensure stability at lower storage temperature. Very important. Okay, an emulsion at 40 degrees might be stable, but at lower temperature it can separate, right? So I think there are some literature in this particular emulsion case study that at 40 degrees, no, especially cetyl alcohol and surfactant gel phase gel networks, they are very, very stable. When you increase or decrease, their stability decreases, and that's why the emulsion is unstable. So all these factors are You can read the Eccleston article. This was in 80s. No, these articles are not a recent article. They are published in 80s and late 90s, mostly in 80s, right? So you can read those articles. The stability of the gel phase and gel networks, what conditions, right? So elevated storage stability does not ensure stability at a lower storage temperature. No? Then properties and characterization of microstructures of the emulsion system can be a tool to predict the stability. So if you have a standard emulsion, right, with a set of emulsifiers and oil phase, you can always characterize their microstructures, no, through advanced rheological measurements or other tools, and find out when and batch to batch, no, you can characterize those things to see that whatever you are producing is of same quality, so that the stability is ensured, right? So this is what I want to share with you on this video. I thought this will be useful to you because you can't assume things, right? You have to, for a particular emulsion, you have to go into the depth and study and characterize it, because there can be a surprise, because the quality of raw materials you're getting, sometimes all the parameters are okay, but there might be something which is very, very different, which is not shown in the quality parameter, and that can create the havoc in your formulation. So all the time the batch was good, and suddenly there is a market complaint. What happened, right? So the more stable, no, when you find your product development, your more stable emulsion, all those things, you have to characterize it fully, right? All the microstructures, rheological parameters, the conductivity, the pH, and the variation in pH on storage, all those things, no, you have to characterize fully, so that you don't get surprises in the market when the product is launched, right? Thank you for listening to me in this video. Thank you. Bye.